Assalamu alaikum everybody, and a very warm welcome to the program that I've made free especially for you guys, Arabic in 6 steps. I've called this the best of stories. This is the 6 steps to understand the best of stories, because the main objective that we're going to achieve in this brief course is to be able to read the start of the story of Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam entirely in Arabic. So we're just going to have 6 steps, 6 main concepts I'm going to run over with you, and by the end of it, you'll be able to read the entire first page entirely in Arabic and even actually understand the nuts and bolts of how it works. It's one thing to be able to access Arabic texts, but it's perhaps another thing sometimes to actually understand all of the nuts and bolts of what's actually going on behind the language. So, okay, so this is the page, right? This is the first page of the story of Yusuf in this book. Okay, this is Qasasun Nabiyyin, the stories of the prophets, and this is the first page. Okay, so at this point, probably most of this is gobbledygook, really, hopefully at the moment for you guys. And but by the end of the course it won't be, so I wanted to show you it at the beginning to see, probably in there you can probably recognise a couple of words, or hopefully you can read Arabic. If you can't, then it's no problem. You can go back to my YouTube channel and I have a course on it, which is for free obviously as well. But hopefully you guys can read. You can read it aloud at least, but probably don't know any of the vocab. So as I said, the objective is to be able to read and fully understand the first page of the story of Yusuf 100% in Arabic. So this book is available to buy, by the way. You can buy this on Amazon, get it for £7 or something like that. But no problem, right? Like the page that I'm going to give you is available in the free student work booklet, which I've put on this page as well. At the top of this page is the little button where you can go and click. You can download it, and you'll get this page. And you'll also get a whole booklet of exercises for each one of these steps as well. So, so there's tons of stuff that you can access in this program that I've made free for you guys. So what are the 6 steps? So we're going to run over what phrases are in Arabic. We're going to run over noun sentences. So you can make sentences in Arabic just using nouns, without using any verbs at all, which is a bit different to English. You can make sentences using verbs in Arabic, which we do need. We do need verbs to read this text. And so we're going to learn about that. We're going to learn about a verb which is called kana. There's a verb kana, which is which is a bit special. It has some special rules that kind of go with it, and some things that students need to understand to access text like this, and to access the Quran, and to access the whole of the Arabic language, really. Next, we'll talk about prepositions, and we'll talk about pronouns lastly. So with these 6 steps, I'll empower you. I've sort of worked backwards, right? Like I've looked at this page and I've thought, I want to empower my students with a way of understanding this entirely on their own. So I've worked backwards. I've thought, what do students need to understand that? And that's how I've got these 6 steps. So without further ado, we can commence. Step 1 is phrases, as I talked about. And in each one of these lessons, we're going to go over, 8 words. I think a couple of lessons might have a little bit fewer or a few more. But that's not a problem. It's pretty much 8. 8 words in each lesson, and I'll use them in plenty of examples so you pick them up as you go along. That entire vocab list is also in the students' free work booklet as well. So if you want the whole vocab list as well, then obviously you can access it there. So let's have a run through them. I'll read them out for you as well so you can hear them nice and clearly. So the word for a boy, waladun, a young lad, ghulamun, beautiful or handsome, jamilun, small, saghirun, father, abun, son, shamsun, clever, dhakiyun, and then the name Yusuf is spelled like this, Yusufu. Nice. Okay, so just a little note, the word beautiful, usually in English we don't describe boys as beautiful, but you can in Arabic. You can use the word jamil to describe boys. So creating a phrase. So firstly, before we start creating phrases, let me tell you what exactly they are. So phrases are when we just put 2 words together. It's not a complete sentence, it's not a complete meaning in and of itself. It would just be, for example, if we said something like, the clever boy, the clever boy. That's an example of a phrase, or a clever boy. Okay, so there's no verbs in it, there's no prepositions in it, it's not particularly complicated, it's just 2 words stuck together. A clever boy, or the clever boy, or, the big son, or the kind father, or, the clever young lad, or something like that. So to put these 2 words together, we need to understand a few different things. Okay, these are the 4 kind of concepts that we need to understand. So let's just run through them one at a time. Case. Case is the first one. So you might have noticed that in Arabic, some words end in a fatha. Some words end in a dhamma. And sometimes they can end in a kasra. So if we were to have the same word, if we were to have the word walad, ولدن, ولدن, ولد, and waladin. Okay, these aren't different words. They don't have different meanings. They're just a slightly different case. Okay, and when we talk about case, what we mean is how we use them in a sentence. And we have this in English too, to a degree. You know, for example, if we have the word me, we have the word I. You know, these actually mean the same thing. Me and I mean the same thing. They both, like if you were to point at yourself, it's that individual, right? It's that person. But if I'm, you know, the only difference between these is that you say I when you're the subject of a sentence. If you're the one doing the verb, is what I mean. I say I am drinking, I am sleeping, I am teaching. But I can't say me am teaching. You know, I have to say you are teaching me. So I'm the one the verb's being done to. So the verb's being done to you in Arabic, you put fathahs on the end. If you are the one doing the verb, you put dhammas on the end. Or if the word comes after certain types of words, prepositions and some other things, you put kasras on the end. But the only reason why I'm telling you this is because the two words, when we put a phrase together, have to agree in these four things. They have to agree in case. So if we're to have a word like, waladun, when we describe it with an adjective, when we make it a phrase, that word needs to agree in case. You know, so the word needs to have the same on the end. If we had a boy, ذكي, ذكي. The two need to agree in case. They both need to have on the end. Okay. And then a little side point. I thought some of you might be familiar with it, so I didn't spend much time on it. Is that nouns always go before adjectives in Arabic? Like most other European languages do that too. You know, you don't say, you know, in English we say a black cat, but like in French and Spanish and Italian you say a cat black, and it's the same as that in Arabic. So here we're saying a boy, a clever, and that's how we say a clever boy. So the two words have to agree in case. They have to agree in gender. So the default gender in Arabic is that everything's masculine, unless we know otherwise. How might we know otherwise? The biggest clue is if there's a ta marbuta on the end. Okay? That's the biggest clue if we know that something's feminine. There are some other words that are feminine, like, you know, a lot of words to do with nature. Not all of them. A lot of words to do with nature. And sun is one of these examples. Sun is actually a feminine word. I'll put that in brackets there just so we remember. You know, some words to do with nature. But that's essentially it. You know, there are a couple of other groups that we'll get into in due course if they become relevant to this text. But that's essentially it, right? All words are masculine. Yusuf's masculine. Ab is masculine. You know, ghulam is masculine. Waladun is masculine. You know, they're all just words in Arabic, and there's no reason otherwise to believe they'd be feminine. So the two words have to agree in gender. If we're describing a young lad, the thing that we're saying he is small also needs to be the masculine form. If we're saying that he's handsome, it needs to be the masculine form. Definiteness is the next thing that the two words need to agree in, that we're putting together to make a phrase. What do we mean by definiteness? So definiteness is how certain we are of something's identity. So let me tell you what I mean. So if I was to say to you, go and enter the house. If I said to you, go into the house, okay? Are you certain of which house I'm telling you to go into? If I say the house. Yeah, you are. So this is what we call definite. Definite. If I say go into a house, it could be any house, right? It could be, you know, the one up the road, or it could be the one that, you know, Ahmed lives in, or it could be the one that that Khadija lives in, or whatever. You know, if I say go to a house. So we wouldn't be definite, we wouldn't be certain of the house's identity if we just said a house. So that's the difference, right? And the way that we recognise that is referring back to the cases. If something's definite, if we're ever saying the something, if we're saying the boy, the young lad, the father, the son, what we do in Arabic is we put el on the beginning, which means the, and we either have one dhamma, one fatha, or one kasra. That's how we do it. If something's indefinite, I'm just going to put indef for time, which is like when we say a boy or a young lad or, you know, a father or a son, then what we do is we don't need el on the beginning. We just have double dhamma on the end if it's that case, double fatha on the end if it's that case, or double kasra if it's that particular case. So that's what we mean by definiteness. Okay, it needs to be the right case, needs to be the right gender, and the two words need to agree in definiteness. These are four things that the two words together need to agree with each other in. And the last one is number. We don't really touch on number in this course. I mean, pretty much everything we're dealing with is singular, really. But number really just means if we're talking about one boy or lots of boys. And in Arabic, the numbers are, you can either have one boy, a waladun, you can have two boys, which would say waladani or waladaini, or then we have plural, okay, which is 3 plus, 3 or more. But in this course, all we're really dealing with is number, okay? I do mention it because, in my premium program and with my students who take learning Arabic seriously and stuff, and they enroll themselves on a program, that they will end up having to learn that. And students who have long-term goals in the Arabic language, as I hope all of you do, you'll need to learn that stuff eventually. But in this course, we don't need to go over that. So let me just put one example in front of you so I can just run through all of these and demonstrate a way that they can all agree. So let's have ash-shamsu. Okay, if we're going to say something like the beautiful sun, okay, ash-shamsu. So here, I'll colour code it for you. So here we have, it's definite, we're saying the sun. It's this case, it's sort of this Dhamma case. It's singular, we're just talking about one sun. It's singular. So we've got its case, we've got its definiteness, and we've got its number. And now its gender, we know that it's a feminine word, okay? I'll perhaps label it just over here, I'll just point to it. We know that it's feminine, okay? We know because it's one of these sort of words from nature that we just know to be a feminine word. So however we describe it afterwards to create our phrase, the beautiful sun, is going to have to agree in all of those things. So we're going to take the word jamil, make it el, so it agrees in definiteness. Let's add in the word jamil. El, jamil. We're going to need to make it feminine as well, right? So how do we make it feminine? With adjectives, we put a tat madbuta on the end. Okay, that's how we make it agree. So now it agrees in gender. I'll put that in blue actually on the end, so you can see that that's the way that we're indicating the gender. So you can see that it agrees in gender, it agrees in case, if we put our dhamma on the end. Ash-shamsu al-jamilatu. It agrees, and because it's only one jamil, we've not made the jamil plural, we're just talking about one beautiful thing. It's singular. It agrees in definiteness, because it has el on the beginning as well. It agrees in case, and it agrees in gender. So we could kind of run through those 4 things and tick it off. So this is a perfectly constructed Arabic phrase. So let's come on to the next page and let's have a look at some examples that I've taken directly from the text for us to just consolidate our knowledge a little bit. So we have some examples, okay? Waladan saghiran. So we learn that waladan is a boy, okay? A walad is a boy. Waladan, we're talking about a boy, and we're talking about it in this sort of fatha case. Saghiran. Do these agree in gender? Are they both masculine? They are, okay? So they agree in gender. Do they agree in definiteness? They're both indefinite. They both have double fatha on the end. Do they agree in number? You've got one boy, one walad, and one saghir. They do agree in number. And what was the other one? Gender, number, definiteness, and case. Okay, they're both the same case. They both have the fathas on the end. So they agree in those 4 things. So that means it's a perfectly constructed phrase. And it's just a boy, a small. So a small boy is what it means. When you hear a small boy, I'll write it up over here. A small boy. That's not a sentence, is it? That is a phrase in English. It's just 2 words put together to make a little bit more of a meaning than just one word. And that's what we're learning in this lesson, okay? We're just learning about these 4 kind of principles, these 4 things that the 2 words need to agree in to make a phrase. Next we have ghulaman jamilan. So we learned that the word a ghulam is a young lad or a young boy, and then jamil is beautiful, but in this case we'd say handsome because we're describing a man. So do they agree in gender? They do. A ghulam is masculine, and jamil, we've not put a tat madbuta on the end. We've not said jamilatan, so they agree in gender. Do they agree in definiteness? They're both indefinite, so they both have double fathas on the end. Do they agree in number? It's just one ghulam, just one boy, okay, and it's just one jamil, so they do agree in number. Do they agree in case? They do, because they're both using the fatha case. So they actually agree in all 4 of those things, okay? They actually agree in all 4 of the things that phrases need to agree in. So this would mean a handsome lad. Yeah, a handsome lad. We know that this is relevant because Yusuf alayhi salam is obviously a waladan saghiran. He's a small boy, and he is also a ghulaman jamilan. جميلا جدا. You know, we'd say جدا if we're saying that he's very, very, very handsome. Yeah, we'll come on to that word another time. Next, so we have غلاما ذكيا. So we almost have the same sentence. We almost have the same phrase here, actually. We have the word غلام, and the word ذكيا is the way that we're describing him. Okay? We're saying a boy, a ذكي, an intelligent or a clever. And obviously, again, they agree in number, they agree in case, they agree in gender, they agree in definiteness. So, you know, those are examples of 3 perfectly constructed phrases. So so that's everything for that video. We're going to move on to the next step now. You know, make sure that you're okay with that. Go into the work booklet, and you can practice filling out those exercises as well. There are these ones that I've put up on the board, but there's also a couple of other bonus ones as well for you to practice and run through. So go and have a look at that, inshallah, and I'll see you in the next lesson.